Hello and welcome to Lesson 7 of Coding with Sahana. First, we will learn about lists. Then, we will do a practice problem on programmers. Finally, I will introduce this week's challenge of the week. First, let's look at lists. Lists, referred to as arrays in many other programming languages, will allow us to handle a collection of various objects, such as integers, floats, strings, booleans, which are true or false, and even other lists, which can also be mixed. Both lists and strings have characters, so what's the difference? In Python, strings are immutable, which is to say that they cannot be changed, while lists are mutable, so you can add things to them. To turn a string into a list, we have to look at the list function from before. The list function turns a string into a list of individual elements, where each element being one character, letter, space, punctuation mark, etc. from the string. In this case, when I use the list function on my variable kind, which holds the phrase be kind, it places each character into its one index in a list. Remember, all letters, numbers, symbols, and spaces are characters. We have also looked at built-in functions that can be used on lists to gather crucial information. For example, we saw how the length function finds the number of characters in a string or list. The minimum or maximum function finds the smallest and largest value in a list of numbers. The sum function finds the sum of numbers in a list. And the sorted function sorts a list of numbers from smallest to largest. However, it's important to keep in mind that these functions make a copy of the original list. NumList, it does not change the original variable at all. Some of these Python built-in functions can also be used for lists of strings. The maximum function on a list of string will find the last string if the list was sorted in alphabetical order. The sorted function would just sort the strings in alphabetical order. As I said before, these functions do not alter the original state of named list, as you can see in the third output. One option to permanently apply one of these functions on our original variable is to create another variable that holds this new value. In line 10, I set my new variable sort list equal to the sorted function applied on name list. One built-in function we can use to manipulate the index values in lists is the delete function. The delete function deletes an item or slices a part of a list. In my variable cats, I store 8 cats as strings. On line 5, I use the delete function to delete the third index of my cats list. Since lists start at 0, the third index of my cats list is leopard. On line 7, when I print out the value of cats, the string leopard is not present. In this example, I deleted my strings between indices 1 and 4. Since slicing always starts on the first number and ends one less than the last index, the strings lion, jaguar, and leopard are sliced out. One shortcut to delete all of the characters inside a list, but still keep a list, is to code delete, parentheses, variable name, colon in brackets, and closing parentheses. Now let's look at methods on lists. Previously, we looked at the methods .upper and .replace on strings to capitalize or replace a character in a string with a different character. In addition to the delete function, there are many Python methods that can be applied to manipulate lists. Remember, methods do not permanently alter the values of variables. These Python methods can help make lists a very powerful data object. In this example, I have my variable called colors that I set equal to red, green, and blue. When I do colors dot extend and inside I include a list with two additional colors, the extend method adds the list with orange and yellow to the end of my existing list, colors. However, it is more common to use the method dot append to add the individual strings to the end of my list. Since you can only add one item at a time to a list, this method works better when appending from for loops. We will go over for loops in the following videos. You can also use the Python operators like plus to add a list to the end of another list. This is similar to the extend method. Let's look at more examples of methods on lists. With the same original list, colors with red, green, and blue on line 6, I used the Python method .remove to remove a string from our list. I also used the Python method .insert to insert another string into the first index in my list. As seen on line 16, I used the Python method .reverse to reverse the order of my characters in my list. Finally, I used the Python method .index to find the index of a number in my string. One crucial thing to notice is that unlike functions which make a copy of the original variable and applies the function on that and were individual from each other, the methods that were applied here permanently change the value of the list colors. Now let's look at a practice problem with lists. Now let's do our practice problem. So in our problem, we are asked to add the user's favorite ice cream flavor to the list flavors and print out the new list. So in this case, I already have the practice problem solved out, but I'm going to explain what I did in the process. So line 3, flavors is equal to vanilla, chocolate, is our preset list that's already created. That is what's implied by the assignment. So we have our list variable called flavors, and it has two items in the list, vanilla and chocolate. And we know they're two different items because they both have quotations around them and a comma in between. So first, what I did was I created another variable that I just called ice cream, and I set it equal to the input of what is the user's favorite ice cream flavor so that we can gain user input. So now when I run the code, it asks what is the user's favorite ice cream flavor, and it redirects us to the next line because of that \n that I also have on line 5. So I'm just going to type in mango. I'm not going to run yet just so that I can explain the rest of it, but then I will run. So on line 7, I used the Python method .append to add a new item into our list flavors. So the notation for the method append is flavors, which is the name of our variable, .append, parentheses, and then in the parentheses, I would typically include a string in the form of a phrase inside quotation marks that I would add directly into flavors. Or in this case, I can add our variable ice cream that holds the value of that string that we want to add in. So when I do flavors.append ice cream, it permanently changes the value of the variable flavors by adding a new item into that list. So this is different from functions because in functions, we create a copy of the list. It is not impacting the original one. But since we're using a method, we don't have to create another variable to set equal to our new value of flavors. We can just simply do flavors.append and then the new flavor that I'm going to put in, which will be ice cream, whatever the user puts in for that value. And on line 9, we are expected to print out the new list, flavors. So now when I run my code, I can run it from the beginning. What is the user's favorite ice cream flavor? I'm just going to put in mango, and I'm going to press enter. And it now adds on mango as another item to our list flavors. So it prints out vanilla, comma, chocolate, comma, mango. Now, welcome to this part of the video where we will be doing the challenge of the week. I will just be introducing this week's challenge, and until the next video, you can try to do it on your own, and I will explain in depth in our next video how to complete it successfully. So this week's challenge of the week will be building off of what we learned about as far as adding two lists together and adding items to a list. So the assignment is to create a program that combines Alex and Bia's two lists together to print out a new combined list. So I already have Alex's list is a list with 3 items, the words red, orange, and yellow, and Bia's list has 3, green, blue, and purple. So good luck! Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click on the bell icon for notifications on my next video.